Vici Gaming versus Virtus Pro. Game 1.
Welcome to the draft panel. I'm joined by the fabulous Effie and Insania to talk through this one. And one of the things I'm excited about this one is the question could be answered as whether we're actually going to see some variety from Virtus Pro because they played the lowest number of heroes in the group stage. I don't know what you guys are thinking, what you're predicting. Take it away.
I think they have quite a wide hero pool, so they're probably holding back a little bit. They probably felt like they found something that's good enough to get them out of groups, and they just stuck to it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them busting out a lot of new heroes. I think VP Save has like all of his Dota Plus heroes like above level 18, so they're platinum tier on like maybe like 10 heroes or so. So he plays a lot of heroes.
You stalker.
Yes.
And I think with Vici, they have expanded a little bit more than in their DPC season, particularly from Ori, their mid player, who actually has the most versatility out of all the other players on his team throughout groups. So it's nice to see that happening, and to highlight Ori in particular, he hasn't been having the best performances in the last few months, but he really stepped it up during TI. So I'm really curious what the Ori versus GPK matchup is going to look like here.
I think probably you could expect GPK to peak a bit higher and be a little bit more of that flashy type mid player that you see running around a lot, but I think Ori fits more of like the traditional, he'll play the Dragon Knights, he'll play the Vipers, he'll play the Shadow Fiend. Maybe not the most flashy Shadow Fiend that you've ever seen, but he'll get the job done. And I think that's like the big difference here between the mid laners and VP and Vici, where you have Ori, who's like the rock. He's very much kind of more similar to our mid laner in Liquid, where it's like he's very stable, he's going to get the job done. And then you have GPK that kind of flashes of brilliance, but also equally so sometimes fall very flat.
Very good points, and it's going to be exciting to see this happen. It's nice to see that both teams did their research on each other because VP banned out Vici's most successful heroes, which were Weaver and ET throughout the groups, whereas Vici banned out the Eye on the Dawnbreaker. But it's interesting to me that they prioritized the Dawnbreaker ban over something else because while VP have played it, they haven't had the most success with it.
I think it's just scary, right? You get to main event. It was a similar story with the OG Wisp, I think, last year, where like you don't really know how to beat it. You don't know how it works. It's a new hero. You're not comfortable playing up against it, so you're going to end up banning it out. And I know a lot of the old school captains, specifically Kuroki used to talk about this, that you want these like kind of free win strats. You want to have this like, I'll pick this hero and you're going to be afraid. And I think the Dawnbreaker is kind of accomplishing that for VP here, where they just want to get rid of it. It gives them a free ban, basically a free opening. And here for VP, that ends up giving them an Earthshaker that most likely would have been banned otherwise.
So something that Vici has done a little bit differently is typically they will draft Old 11's hero in the first phase because he has only played about maybe 4 or 5 total heroes during groups, and they really prioritize getting it out there. But unless this is an offlane Tiny, it seems that they have just ignored that idea completely here. Is there a reason for that?
I think most likely they just feel like they have to snap the Tiny, right? They probably had this idea coming in where they're expecting the Tiny to be banned out. It's been banned out a lot. People didn't really want to give it away during the groups, but it now seems like VP are more comfortable with giving it away. And to follow up with the offlane thing, you can see VP's prepared, right? They've looked this up. They are aware that his hero pool is limited, and they're targeting him here now. They're banning out the Night Stalker, followed up by the Tide.
And they actually snagged the Earthshaker, which is one of the 4 heroes that he's played often. Pretty much leaves the Doom, which is one of his favorites.
Earthshaker was played 6 times during the group stage by Vici, so I wonder if Virtus Pro as well. We're gonna get in there first because Virtus Pro played it 5 times, Vici played it 6 times. So I think there was kind of a battle going on. If we don't pick it first, then we might not get it for stop.
Yeah, and that's something that definitely is a part of drafting, and especially more once you get into main stage and deeper into tournaments, you know what the enemy team kind of values, and you know what heroes they're going to look for in the first phase. So it kind of becomes sometimes like, let's say you were picking Earthshaker in the second phase, and you knew your matchups, and you knew you were going to have a good laning phase. This is like where the player skills tested, because now if you want the Earthshaker, you're going to have to pick it early, and you're going to have to get counterpicked, or you might get counterpicked, and you're going to have to be able to play through it anyways. And I think the players that generally do well at TI are the players that have that versatility. You can play the hero with slightly more farm or slightly less farm. And I think this could be somewhere where an area in which Vici's experience comes to in their favor, because Old 11's been at a bunch of TIs, and this is DM's first, if I'm not wrong. So I think that these kind of factors is important to notice. So even though VP has played a lot of Earthshaker, how much first phase, or how comfortable is he playing it if he gets counterpicked?
And like we saw yesterday, a bunch of young players with maybe not the best LAN experience, even though they can have an incredibly dominant group stage can choke on the main stage. So points like that really do come into play in something like this. What I wanted to comment on is what I like about Vici's draft is there's a lot of mixed damage already out of Tiny and Snapfire. Lots of magical damage, lots of burst, and also physical damage, right? So there's a nice synergy between these two heroes. Whereas I can see this Pugna getting burst down very quickly.
Yeah. I think at first glance, this Phoenix is also a little bit of a weird pick, right? You kind of consider Snapfire to be a bit of a counter because of how her third spell, which I know the name of, counters the Little Shredder counters the Phoenix Egg because it has very quick attack speed, so you just hit down the egg immediately. But if you keep looking at the VP draft a bit more, you notice that there's a lot of stuff to cover it. You have the Pugna to cover him, you have the Earthshaker to cover him, and Snapfire, generally speaking, wants to play pretty far back. So the Phoenix could be a good way to bait him in and to force the Snapfire not to use her ulti. Because when Snapfire ults, you can egg very comfortably because at that point, the Snapfire is no longer in position to come in and low shred your little egg without getting fissure stunned or potentially Pugna the Corruptified.
That's a very good point, and I've always liked heroes like Earthshaker and Sand King in defending the egg, but something else that we can add on to that is with the combination of Phoenix and Pugna, especially with the prevalence of Holy Locket as an item, there's a lot of sustain coming out of VP's team.
True.
So that's going to be very annoying to deal with.
I'm curious about Bristleback as a potential hero. I noticed them doing this in the group stage where they played Bristleback Pugna and they kept buffing the Bristleback up with the mana from Pugna and healing him and just giving him sustain. And right now they have really nice backline heroes to do that. And Silencer, like, pretty decent hero against the Bristle because you stack up your Q infinitely. But it doesn't really matter, right, when you have infinite sustain coming out from your two supports.
That's a very good point, and these two supports do like to build Lotus Orb. There's also a potential they could make it a mid Pugna, but I don't like that so much here. Silencer is also a very good Phoenix counter, so Vici's draft looks really strong in my opinion. They have their team fight covered with Global and RP and Mortimer's Kisses, and they have their late game covered with Tiny. And they have very good individual hero matchups, I would say.
I think if you're VP right now, you're kind of looking at some sort of maybe like Wraith King, Bristle, the more like tankier type carries, because Vici's draft is very reliant on their spells to deal damage. You're going to have like Tiny combo, you're going to have Snapfire throwing some spells, and there's the Bristle. Yeah.
Insania the Prophet.
It's like you've played a TI before.
Yeah, I didn't get very far though.
We don't need to talk about that. A TI to TI.
True.
So looking here at Vici Gaming's lineup so far, what ultimately is what they're trying to, what are they ultimately trying to achieve, do you think, with this draft so far?
I think for Vici, it's going to be try to farm up the Tiny, and then this is going to be basically the question of the game. Can they kill Bristleback during the Silver's Edge? Cool duration from Tiny, or is Bristle going to survive it and then out-sustain them with all the backline that he has? I think no matter what they pick here in the end, these two heroes are going to be the defining heroes for the draft. I think for Vici as well, they have the Silencer, like you mentioned, to cover against the egg. So initiation for them is going to be very important too.
I agree. And the nice thing about Bristleback as a hero is even though it is annoying to play against something like Arcane Curse, he does hit his timings quite fast, and he still excels at taking ancient stacks, right? If he hits his timing earlier than Tiny, they can just run them over with all of the sustain that they have coming out of Pugna and Phoenix. Even though individually these heroes may look like they might struggle, overall they do mesh well together. But I think if Vici hold out for Tiny's timings, it's going to get a lot more difficult for VP to take these fights, for reasons that Insania mentioned.
So the final pick from Virtus Pro, is that going to be a counter?
I think it's probably just going to be something supportive. Like, it's going to try to support their draft. So right now, they have the option of running the Pugna on GPK, but they could also run it on save. They can run the Earthshaker on save and pick an offlaner. They have a lot of abilities, like to basically pick whatever hero they feel best supports their game plan, which to me is, at this point, it's going to be a lot about stacking up the Bristleback and getting him very, very fat. And they're on Dire, which is we talked about it off stream, but one of the few advantages that Dire has is that they have these camps in the jungle, which are easier to stack multiples up at the same time. And Bristleback's one of the best heroes to utilize that specific thing. So Dire, Bristleback, I just think it's going to be all about stacking this guy up, getting him as fat as you possibly can. And this is something that I know we like to run a lot, so I think the first 12, 15 minutes, if he can get that 1, 2K net worth ahead of the rest of the game, I would favor them pretty strongly moving into the mid game.
And Vici Gaming are banning out these initiator type offlaners, which is a really good call by them because right now, until Earthshaker gets his blink, they're just going to be playing behind the Bristle, and that can result in some problems. So by having something like a Mars or a Beastmaster, it makes their ability to take fights that much easier. And Razor Void.
I think it's a strong lane matchup against Void Spirit, but in the game itself, I don't think Void Spirit really cares that much about Razor. But yeah, I think VP, they're trying to dominate the lanes in the start. They're going to run around with 4 heroes and have Nightfall come in and take some towers as soon as they're controlling pace.
I think Ori's Void Spirit is very good, one of the best in this tournament, but also his job will be to control this Pugna in the backline. My issue is if DM hits his timings, this can be a very scary game for Void because he will die, right? So it's just about what happens in the first 15 minutes, like Insania says. But if the game holds out for longer, I do favor Vici.
Well, we're going to be getting into that game very, very shortly. But before we do, it's time for the last word with BSJ.
Thank you, Frankie. I feel like when I was listening to that panel, all I heard was timing. So let's talk about the timings we should be expecting in this game. The thing that I look at for Vici Gaming is their core hero, the Tiny, buffed up by the Magnus on Old 11. He needs 2 items to feel really strong in this game. He needs the Silver Edge as well as the BKB. The Silver Edge to chew through the Bristleback and the BKB to deal with the immense amount of control and magic damage from the Pugna Earthshaker as well as the Phoenix. However, on the side of Virtus Pro, the Bristle's only going to need 1 tankiness item to start going. The Earthshaker's only going to need a Blink, and we're going to need a BKB on the Razor coming on GPK. So there's going to be 1 item timing for the Virtus Pro, while it's going to take 2 items for Vici. So we're going to see if they can hit that window hard enough before the BKB Silver Edge shard on the Tiny and take momentum that way. And there's only one way to find out, and that's with OD Pixel and Fogged.
Thank you very much, Brian. Yes, Virtus Pro up against Vici Gaming in this best of 3. Fogged, what are you looking forward to seeing from these two here out on the main stage?
Just a clash of 2 styles, really. I think that's what most people were even looking at just coming into this game. Even before we even saw the drafts, I think most people were expecting Vici to do Vici things. Play a little bit more of that slow-paced style. Wait till they start hitting their big later game timings. VP, they have changed a lot. Sure, they're still all about that fast-paced kind of lineup, all about that aggression, but they've gotten a lot more like just stable in the way that they hit their big timings, and then boom, they're not going to look to make a mistake. They're going to look to be a very clean game and just close it out. And hey, look at the draft, right? We have Bristle, Razor cores. Yeah. That's all about looking to get an advantage and end at a relatively early time.
No, yes, and sort of specifically the Bristle and the Pugna. You know, these are very much heroes that we haven't really seen other teams play with that much. Whereas, you know, Vici Gaming, on the other hand, their whole lineup, you know, these heroes have sort of been played across the board. You know, Silence has sort of more recently started to move up in value. A lot of teams starting to look towards that. But everything else from Vici Gaming, it's just sort of top heroes of the meta.
Yeah, especially like the Magnus that they slipped in later on in the draft, which we saw, of course, last series. It went up to first pick. It became the most high priority pick. So, yeah, we'll see how that's going to end up playing out. And we'll see if they, like they mentioned about timings, if Silencer does start to fall off too, right? Because I know they have, like, Vici's late game is extremely strong, but we've seen time and time again, Silencers around that 35-minute mark, they start to struggle, so I'm really looking forward to this series. And let's see how these lanes do play out, because I've been seeing so many times GPK, especially on Razor, hero or lane dominator.
Sure.
That's just what he's been known as forever, especially into these melee heroes. Sure, Void Spirit, you've got ways to play around it in the mid game especially, but lane is still going to be quite complicated.
Absolutely, yeah. GPK definitely having himself in a situation to make Ori's early game rather hard. We'll see how well Ori plays himself into it.
And let's see how the Phoenix does too, because they did pick it relatively early because of that Tiny. We know people have been talking about the matchup because of attack speed, slow, Sunray Egg. It's all pretty damn good versus Tiny. However, into Silencer, right? It does feel like the Silencer has a pretty good position in this game versus both the Phoenix and the Pugna. These are like anti-savers, globals that can't get the heals off to protect Nightfall in some situations. So yeah, this should be a lot of fun.
And for Nightfall as well, so the carry Bristle. How does that sort of fit into the meta that we're seeing? Like, is this sort of a concept that you feel VP could really show us the strengths of, you know, against the types of Dota that we've been seeing teams play, or at least most of the teams play?
They're one of the only, if not the only teams playing it. So that is a great question. I mean, just something that they really like to play. Nightfall might just feel very comfortable on it with the team. It's a curious one to me, because I'm not too sure why they are liking it so much. I mean, sure, they've been dominant on it, but then why is nobody else doing the same kind of strategy? So, and I mean, it's also Silencer, right? So,
but that's the thing. He's going to have something to dispel, right? Otherwise, these fights, surely the damage, the duration, it adds up. It's not going to be fun spamming your spells when you've been arcane cursed.
No, definitely not. They have 2 Lotus Orb buyers, at least 3 Lotus Orb buyers on their team, maybe even more than that. They could even prioritize one on the Razor, even the Bristle himself. So we'll probably see 2, 3 Lotus Orbs coming out because Phoenix is going to want one, Pugna's going to want one, Bristles probably wants one. So we'll see that in time. And yeah, I'm really just going to be glancing at mid to see if... Ori is one of the big playmakers for me, for Vici, and when he starts to have a bit of a rough game at times, I feel like their game gets even slower than it usually is.
Yeah.
They are more of a slow team, and looking at the lane already, 10-6 on the Razor,
GPK.
3-1 on the
It's,
Oyster.
yeah, as we said, on paper, it's a tough matchup, and GPK, he is completely abusing that. 11 for 7 against the 3-4-1. Top lane DY. Is he going to tick out here? He's going to burn pretty low, but not quite enough. Salves are the ready. He'll be able to keep himself in lane. In fact, Kingslayer, he's going to get chased down by Old 11 again, though not quite enough damage, as both team supports will stay in the lane and alive.
Was that Fairy Fire making them both survive? I'm pretty sure it was. I think Silencer used one earlier, and then the Phoenix had two, so he used one when he was getting gone on. So Fairy Fire saved lives.
Now he's looking down bottom at the moment for both cores. DM, 12 for 1 here. On the off lane, Poyo-Yo, 14, 15 for 1. So both cores trading farm quite nicely down here. Side lanes, both supports trying to play around here. Save comes over around the attempt pull. Here's the setup around the camp. Top lane, Old 11, he's going to get the skewer back.
Okay.
Pretty deep, at least get a tower hit or two, and then he does. Nightfall getting a little too close to that dangerous area where Old 11's able to pull him in and set him up underneath the tower for that extra damage.
That's why we're seeing the Magnus picked so much, really. Just so powerful in any lane.
You got to be careful.
Yep. That's always something scary for Bristleback too, even let's say in the later stages of the game too. Bristle is a tanky hero, but sometimes you feel a little bit deceptive because you feel so tanky, but let's say you get completely pulled out of position, it's gonna change the way that your saves are looking to play, because then the Pugna has to get out of position, the Phoenix as well to try to protect you. So yeah, could see a lot of those skewers really injure the Bristle a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Nightfall's got to be careful on these early levels. Playing anywhere near to the tower there, as Old 11 will be very quick to take advantage of that.
DY will help out mid. Ori gonna check the rune for him and also fill up his bottle. His body as well.
Mid lane, starting to catch him now, Ori.
Yeah.
It's sort of this sort of pace now where GPK has been sort of visiting the jungle a little bit, looking towards neutrals as well. It's giving Ori a bit more of a chance to close that gap here.
It's just still such a challenge. He can't even walk out. Yeah, the poor guy. Ori's just like, all right, well, I just have to tank this, you know. I'm getting my levels, and that's kind of the most important thing he has to do at this point. Rest of the lanes are going well, as we mentioned for Vici.
Poyo, feeling rather confident down here. DM on his own doesn't really pose too much of a threat against the Tiny, especially with the support sort of beginning to drift away from that bottom lane.
PYW though is eating quite a lot of harassment.
Save if he gets another blast in, it's going to be close, but PYW just enough HP to get out of harm's way. Top lane, Old 11. Trying to get it onto Kingslayer, not going to be the case, and it's getting to the stage now where this top lane, now the levels are in, level 4 on Nightfall, they've got to be very careful about how they extend him for Kingslayer, as Nightfall will be able to turn around any drawn-out engagement between the two lanes here.
Yep. A little bit of a mistake there from DY, not layering the curse in the last word properly though, so you can get that extra damage. Did mess it up a bit there on Kingslayer. Supports. Looking to check runes a bit more here. Save even looking to play around mid. Guess feeling that he doesn't need to help DM too much in the bottom lane since we are seeing so many support rotations. PYW hasn't really been playing the lane too much. And speaking of PYW, we didn't really touch too much on the Snapfire this game. Of course, a super popular hero that's been getting picked up more and more, but also a lot of uses in this game. Little Shredder can always be pretty decent versus Bristleback, of course. You know, a little bit of extra minus armor when he's lacking in the early game, but of course, versus Phoenix and versus Pugna, it's going to be quite useful. The Little Shredder versus the Pugna Ward versus the Egg, but also even just Mortimer Kisses versus a hero that does get decrepified in later stages. So PYW should have a pretty good overall game if he's able to actually position himself properly.
Absolutely, we're going to have to see some very careful placements here of both of those spells
for sure,
to sort of force Vici Gaming to spend time finding them and getting that setup indeed for the Snapfire.
Ori's completely caught up. He's actually only 50 gold behind the Razor.
And this is pretty impressive. What's the XP looking like, though, between them? Was halfway through level 6 on Ori, and then GPK still about a level ahead. So he's picking it up, but as you say, the recovery, it has been there for Ori after a very tough first few waves in the matchup. You know, this is quite clearly something that he's had to deal with quite a lot of times before. The man's got quite a few games on the Void Spirit. He's almost certainly bumped into Razor, quite a large number of them.
GPK is looking to make that first move bottom. Haste Rune.
Oh, here we go. See if he's able to get the chase down onto Poyoyo. How will Vici Gaming react? Poyoyo turn with a quick avalanche, trying to hold GPK back, but GPK is able to maintain the connection of the static link. He's into the trees, that Poyoyo, and it's pretty deep, but GPK's got the damage. The maxed out plasma field's able to reach in, burst him down. A successful rotation here for the Razor.
And successful rotation from the supports earlier from VP to secure that haste rune for GPK. Ori did not choose to even make the counter move, though, since it is a hasted Razor. He's just like, whatever, I need to catch up my game. Razor's going to look to gank on the side lanes. He's going to get some big benefit from it, but
yeah,
I'm catching back up. I'm hitting mid tower a little bit, too. So.
No, for sure. I looked at the time as well. I'm not quite sure what he used it for earlier, but both of his Astral Steps were on cooldown.
Okay, so just maybe pushing lanes.
Yeah.
Or farming some stack or something.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Which did mean he wasn't quite in the shape that maybe could have turned up to that bottom lane.
And we are seeing, like Insania mentioned, it's dire. Stacks, stacks, stacks. Kingslayer is already starting the triangle. This is not the usual triangle, but it is warded. So Vici is going to be aware. They are... And they know what's happening.
I mean, with an Empowered Astral Step, they could take these pretty quickly. Ori's in.
Super quick. He's DD room as well.
Yeah, this is, well, there we have it. I think pretty much every creep but one go to Kingslayer. Ori will die for it.
Okay.
I mean, this may be worth, though. That's a lot of effective golden XP that you do take away from VP there with that move. I mean, sure, you die at the end of it all, but that was at least a triple stack you're taking out of the hands of Nightfall.
Yeah, it's a trade. I mean,
it's a trade.
The thing is, the Razor get a big chunk of experience on the support and the Razor, and then he's off the map now for quite some time, so they can split up. So
okay, so you think that VP they're like,
I don't think
whatever.
VP's like whatever. Like we got the kill. Bristleback's still able to get some of these stacks anyway.
GPK is already on his way down bottom again. Maybe seeing if DM can find a setup. And they're going to set up with the slam. TPs are coming in, but GPK, he's just going right in underneath the tower. He's going to miss the blast here. GPK just standing tall on top of Poyoyo. Poyoyo will fall. PYW, he's going to be in trouble as well. Finally, the fissure ends, so he tries to get out of there, but the damage has been done. GPK, get with these movements down, want to make a big plays. Now the counterplay comes in. Ori jumps over towards GPK. They'll take out the Razor. He's got his eyes set now onto the Shaker as well. An attempted TP out will be successful. DM makes it back to base.
Is just a number.
Crisp rotations coming all around. 2 to 4. Poyoyo is definitely struggling. But Ori does make the nice rotation, especially with DY rotating around. He did not have the point in glaives yet, so no int. But we are seeing these constant moves around the map, looking like both teams looking to get support levels, especially VP. They actually have the Pugna sitting mid for quite some time and the Phoenix up top, so their support should be a bit better off on those levels, since we did see, of course, PYW die down bottom. But it is very close on levels.
And it is. There's some good Dota here so far from both squads.
Yeah, quite even, really. DM's gone for a bit of a different approach in the offlane that I've seen from lately. I've seen most of the time it's just like the 1 or 2 max points in Fissure, and then when they're offlane, they've been putting more points in the Enchant Totem and Aftershock. 3 points is the key, of course, for that Aftershock, so you can get the good combo play with your Echo Slam. But yeah, opting for more points in Fissure, I guess, because his supports have no stuns.
I think that's what it is, right?
I think that just has to be what it is. So
he needs to have that long lockdown.
Yep. That definitely makes sense as to why he's done it. And he's going to have a pretty good timing on that Blink Dagger. And, you know, we talk about VP speed and aggression. Again, looking to make the move bottom, GPK, as well as save.
There they are once again.
They're spotted.
Same time top lane. Kingslayer's going to get gone upon. Vici are able to get the kill up top. DY's going for the TP out. He's able to make it away from them. So they won't find anything down here this time round with the movement, but they can look to put some pressure onto the tower. Fortification's already been used. They're pushing in with the catapult wave. VP, they should be able to get this tier 1 away, but at the same time, Vici, they've already got the top tier 1 tower, so able to make that move and push happen a little bit quicker than VP is themselves.
Both teams mirroring each other's movements quite identically, honestly. The Tiny was farming Ancients while Bristleback went to go farm Ancients too. It's very similar stuff coming out. We just do see Vici, I think, that has a little bit better information. They also blocked out Ancients.
See Ori. He's trying to get onto GPK. They're actually committing with the kisses as well.
A lot of damage.
The silence coming out. GPK, is he actually able to escape from this? Only just.
Is he?
GPK will get out. They'll heal him up a bit as well. Save here with the drain to keep his HP topped up. PYW is still hunting in the trees. Actually found DM. DM rather low here, but still they're backing away from it. They're aware, Echo Slam is up. They don't want to fight right underneath the nose of the Earthshaker.
Yeah, quite a bit of ults. Egg also available, and we do see save. This is why they picked that Pugna, to keep their cores healthy, to keep them on the map. GPK, in normal situations, he would have had to gone back to base. But look, Pugna just full healed him up. He can actually keep his presence on the map, keep pressuring this tower that they weren't able to get before.
Of course, all this pressure is completely taking any attention away from the Bristleback. Nightfall having the whole jungle to himself halfway through on the Aghanims. For Poyoyo also, things looking very nice in the farm department. Pretty much even there on both carries right now in terms of what they're getting out of the map. As this game, 12 minutes in, continues to be incredibly close here. Both teams, after a pretty much identical start.
I think Vici has to be pretty happy with this, with the way that their lineup does scale with like that Magnus, with that Tiny to later stages. I think after this, they'd have to be quite happy. VP, I do believe they want to set that pace, but they're going to wait for that timing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the BKB Razor, the Ags on that Bristleback, and then they're going to look to hit real hard. But they're not slowing down yet still anyway, because they do have a Blink on Shaker. Still looking to be active, still looking to claim a bit more tower advantage, because like I said, I don't think that they're happy with the state of the game right now. I think they wanted to get a little bit more out of the laning phase.
So we're definitely feeling it with the frequency that GPK is just over here on this bottom half of the map.
Well, I mean, with what you're playing against versus this Magnus and everything, he has to. We're a Razor, you don't want to start to fall behind at all as this hero. You always want to stay ahead in that net worth.
Will start to show himself mid, and it does seem Vici Gaming doing a good job of avoiding getting caught by the jump from DM.
And they're continuing to farm really well. Even PYW seem like just jungling. Has the Snapfire. He's already got his medallion. Yeah, both sides, like I said, getting quite a lot out of the map.
Old 11, progress for him, 1500 on towards his Blink.
Yep.
The next big timing for him, and will make things a little more hard for sort of VP. When you look at their three cores, all wanting to get in the front of the fight. If they're not aware of Old 11's positioning, there's a high chance he will be able to come in with some big RP counterplays in these team fights. And
they have global too, so they can pick and choose their battles really nicely. They can also look to disengage if they see a bad fight, or they can just stop egg. That's always going to be one big thing that they see. You see the Phoenix diving in, you can just get these eggs off most of the time. And with the new Yules picked up on Ori, as well as an Arcane Rune, they're going to look to get active. Seeing this Pugna pushing down the bottom lane.
They might actually get the jump on DM here. DM, he's not going to expect them coming in from this angle. The Remnant's actually off the mark though. DM, he knows with the Remnant missing, he's going to try for the TP out, but PYW is there to turn up and put a stop to the escape with the cookie. See them try and go for Old 11 top. He's got a TP, anything to stop it? No, there is not. Old 11 makes it out.
If there's no Shaker there, I think Vici's going to start recognizing. No stuns on VP if he's not, so just can quickly TP out in most situations.
And as we saw, same not to be said for VP, trying to get out there after a missed Remnant, but Vici Gaming, they've got many more ways to put a stop to those kind of escapes.
Yeah, they even had the Yules in case of anything if PYW wasn't there, so definitely lots of different ways to set up. And still looking to get aggressive, checking out the Ancients. Now finally getting a small gold lead on the side of Vici because of the way they've been able to move around. But 200 gold. And that's when I'd imagine we see a huge increase in pace from VP. They've been still trying to make these, two-man plays, three-man plays perhaps around the map, but yeah, BKB and Aghanims is going to come out, and I assume they just either look for a fight or just walk into the pit and force some action from Vici.
Oh, you think they might go straight for the Roche before one of the extra tier 1 towers? Now, bottom? They're going to jump in, but the global is going to break the combo completely. And now Ori, he's just going to go jump back over towards save, cut down the Pugna. And this is going to be hard to make moves. Anytime the global's up, you know DY, he'll be ready to respond in an instant with a global silence.
That's always the scary thing about making moves. That's why I thought perhaps, maybe they force some type of ultimate, some type of weird fight, and then they go straight for that Roshan, and the timing's there. So Nightfall's got it.
He's going to look to get the jump in onto DY, and DY, he has been caught a little too close to the rest of them. Not quite able to back up in time with the rest of the team. DY getting caught out a little bit there as he, I guess just wasn't quite prepared for VP to come straight back on the map and come down there. Now it's that kill onto save. Mid lane Nightfall starting to show himself now on the other side of the map. He's ready to turn up and go, as you say, with the Aghanims complete. See what sort of moves VP can make around them. They don't have the Echo Slam, but they do still have the Supernova.
Something I think Well, wait a second here as 11 will get away. But something that I think that they might have to also watch out for is Aether Remnant turns Bristle back around. So they can actually make him face their team. Whenever they do get their timing as well with the Tiny when he feels like he can fight, he's getting closer and closer towards Silver Edge. There's going to be quite a lot of ways for them to perhaps deal with the Bristleback.
No, for sure, yeah. If he gets turned into a full combo from the Tiny from Poyoyo, it's going to hurt still.
Yeah. Vici really looking to set this defense around this mid tower.
And she's going to go straight to work him with the kisses. As the dive comes out, but he is... Oh, maybe with the heals should save. No, it's not enough. The damage is done. Kingslayer to fall as they try and fight, but this nice ward here from Vici Gaming, giving them this great vision to stop VP from trying to make these moves. They know that VP, with the way they've been playing on the bottom half of the map, they're going to try and come and approach the mid lane from this angle. Their vision is there ready to prepare for that exactly.
And they went the Veil as well early on. DY gets it at as a 5 position. That's a very good timing for his Veil. He has good damage, and as we see there, this is one of the reasons why Silencer has always been sought after versus Phoenix. Most of the time, you're still not going to click the dive, but he did click the dive, so you come right back. The last word will always bring you back to that position, of course. 2K lead. And that was, as we mentioned, a bit of VP's timing. Now they have the BKB finished on the Razor, so they smoke up again, still looking for that fight. Echo up in 10. Yep. They really want to persist for this
they have to, as you say. If they're not making the hits now, Vici Gaming are likely to run away with this match as the minutes pass.
Absolutely.
VP's got to get something done right now. See what they can get around the mid. And they're trying to look at the one a bit split up, really. Kingslayer and Nightfall, they've got to find the mid. The egg is going to be taken down. Nightfall's over POW. This is a completely split up play. The rest of VP, they're trying to get it onto Poyoyo. They will get the kill on the Tiny. Nightfall, he has been left to fend on himself, and it's okay. He's still very much big enough and tanky enough that Vici Gaming couldn't really deal with him. So a split up fight there that VP forced, but it ends up working out. They get the tower, and they are able to take down Poyoyo, whilst the rest of Vici Gaming's trying to deal with the 2 members of VP.
Nightfall. He's got a lot of Arcane Curse stacked up on him.
So with the jump forward, 11. Quick skewer back and a jump over with the Astral Step. Nightfall will pop.
I'm surprised he just walked in like that. He kept spamming his quills as well, too. With the Arcane Curse, he gets the last word put on him, the Veil. It's a lot of damage. It does start to build up until you do get ways to dispel it.
And how close are they to any of those? Are we seeing anything come soon?
Not really, no. They're very far away.
That's true.
Your anger is useless.
He's going to go for his own BKB instead, so his teammates will have to get that Lotus Orb to protect him, but Vici's got to be real happy with the pace of the game. Even though they did lose their Tiny a few times, like Ori's almost got an Aghanim done on Void Spirit.
No, for sure.
Now it's more silences to deal with inside the fights too, as TM.
They're going to use the global. In fact, Ori's going to look to use that coverage of the global to turn things around onto DM.
Oh boy.
Very nicely done here by Vici Gaming, and it really was, as you say, they lose Tiny, but the fact that they do end up getting Nightfall at the end of it all pretty much makes that whole move for VP completely redundant. There's Vici Gaming just continuing to grow this lead, and VP, it really does seem like they are going to just have to continue to try and fight, but every little mistake and misplay, it just means that the preceding fight is going to be so much harder. It's just not getting any easier against Vici Gaming, and the only way they can come back in is by looking to turn up for the brawl.
Yeah, they already have Silver Edge done. The Tiny's online pretty much. He's got the 2 items done. VP, they did hit that 1 item timing that BSJ was mentioning on the panel there, but I think Vici's so happy with this game. Aghanims is done for Ori. They've got Silver Edge on Tiny. He's going to be able to buy Shard soon. Everyone is pretty damn online. I think VP's in some trouble unless they start making some big plays happening soon.
They've got to have a big move come out next. Here we have it. Smoke up. How long to the Echo Slam? Not quite up yet.
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
It is a level 1 Echo, and he's about to hit 12. So usually you want to wait for that 12 because you get that 20 seconds removed and quite a bit more damage. But I don't think he can wait for it.
There's no global for a minute. So that's something. They're going to jump DY. In fact, just dropping the Echo on him. Get rid of that pesky silencer.
Okay. So is that like them trying to get an option open for Roche?
If Nightfall's ready to go for it.
The Kisses are down 2 for 30. They want another kill before they try for it.
It looks like they do. DM. Looking for the lead in, but Vici Gaming are careful. Play it right back in back. Now old 11, he's ready to step up. RP is online again.
They've got the Silver Edge. Nightfall.
They're in. DM is going to try and lead him, and immediately getting caught out by the silence. Jump over to the side. Ori looking to take down DM, and with the help of old 11 and his skewer, they should be able to do so. DM ripped into position as they take him out. That's DM gone. DY back in the game now. VP having to fight 4v5 if they want to keep this going. Nightfall and GPK, they're thinking about returning to the action. They're back in. They're on top of DY. DY has been caught on the front, but the Yules will hold him back. Jump forward. Old 11. RP gets him right underneath the tower. Catches GPK. Raising a fall.
And might even get more. They turn him around with the Remnant.
They get the grab. There's the Silver Edge hit. Toss up. Poyoyo. The damage not quite enough immediately, but Nightfall, he's falling ever so low. Save will be able to top him off slightly, but it's just the three of them, Kingslayer, Save, and Nightfall, having to go on the retreat right now.
Oh, VP is struggling. They can't get the catches they want. They can't go for the plays either because they only have one stun. They only have, well, one stun from the Shaker. He's the only one who's really got the actual disables. They catch the Tiny on the left side of the fight. He's linked up. He just TPs and resets the fight, comes back in afterwards. VP tries to catch up to the rest of the team. A global comes out. It's really hard for them to get into these fights successfully, especially if they don't have the Echo Slam. DM, I think, has to be a little more patient. I don't think he can waste an Echo on a Silencer in these situations, especially not the 5.
I think he just feels that he has to, as you say, because of the fact there's nothing really else to initiate with. It's hard.
Sure is. And like we mentioned, the game for the supports, it's all about those Lotus Orbs versus the Global, but as we mentioned, Ori having such a good game, they've got so many different forms of silence now. He's got the double pulse as well that he can play around with the Globals post after they use the Lotus Orb on themselves. Still only a 4K lead, but VP, you can feel that they definitely wanted to be in a better position now. But with these ultis on cooldown, walking into the pit.
I mean, they're looking at the Roche. They're going to try and give it a shot here.
Should kill it fast. And without kisses are down for 15.
Yeah, Vici game is a little split up. Jump forward, DY, he's going to actually get caught. This is the perfect way to start the fight. Silencer is out of action.
It's a big grab. They're still smoked, waiting for an opportunity.
They still want to try and make the steal here. Vici Gaming.
Kisses in 2.
They're going to try for it, surely. There's the buyback, jump forward, Roy, the Supernova coming out from the side. Roshan, it will die to VP and Aegis into the hands of Nightfall. At the same time, they get on the high up, 5 POW, Ori. He's trapped in the river. He's going to use himself up for now. By the time he gets the Dissimulate off, can he jump to safety? He can. We'll get over to the side for Save. He's there with the Decrepify. They run down the Void Spirit. Ori, he will fall. 3 dead. Vici, Gary Poyo will manage to TP out. But VP, they come back with a mighty punch in this game, getting the Roche, Aegis secured, and now Vici, they're having to run. DY brought back for this, they'll be able to kill him off again, as VP have managed to battle themselves back into the game.
Exactly what they needed to. As soon as they saw that even the Silencer buyback, they just popped their ults. I saw even the Phoenix, Kingslayer just instantly pops Egg, even though it's in an awkward pit, it's just to secure the Roshan, and DM, very nice Fissure. The Echo Slam as well, catches the Snapfire, Fissure blocks off Ori, causes disarray amongst Vici. Very nice to get execute a fight, which they needed to get themselves back into a comfortable position in this game.
Absolutely, as you say, DM definitely putting in the heavy work here. This is the thing, he said, well, we don't need any more stuns. I'm going to get everything done myself. And when he's making moves like this, even managed to block off the more elusive heroes for the most part, like the Void Spirit. And maybe things are in safe hands here for VP around DM's Shaker.
And now they're starting to get these Lotus Orbs up. Kingslayer's got his finished, and I think that's probably the only one, actually. They're going to have a BKB for the Bristleback to cover himself versus the Arcane Curse, too. So Silencer's effectiveness will definitely start to dwindle.
VP. We want to keep the action going. Nightfall ready to lead the charge down the mid. Quick poke at the mid lane.
With BKB, he's quite unkillable.
Yeah, now he's good to go.
Unless he gets pulled very far out of position, even then,
he can battle his way out.
Yeah,
he can put that BKB charge back to safety. He'll make it.
And without Global, they can't stop the heals. Of course, that's going to be coming out from that Max Sunray as well as the life drain from Save.
Vici Gaming trying to set up here. Hold 11. Poyo around DY. They're using DY as the bait. They know that VP are going to want to go for him, and they are. Nightfall straight in onto the silencer by DY. Pretty much dying in a few hits. BKB popped by Nightfall. There's no jump they can make back onto this Bristol as VP get in at a swift execution right underneath the tier 2 tower that Vici Gaming as a team can't do anything to stop.
Poyo had just used the Silver Edge hit too on a creep right in front of him too. So as soon as they saw that, Bristol was like, okay, I have a free run across. He had to pop the BKB just in case, but does get a kill. Let's see if Vici looks to make any type of move while that is down. They're picking up top, but that's GPK. So maybe expecting them to make a move onto him. And VP all just swinging together. Again, another smoke.
A little bit of a window here. 10 seconds, no silence. When DY's back up there, the global will be ready to go.
Scan is right on top of Poyoyo.
They know where they are. On the low ground now, coming in from the river. They jump onto the high ground. The global silence comes out immediately in response. Supernova's out. They look to take it out. PYW is able to get the hits in. They bring down the egg. DM lays down the Fisher, getting the angle onto both PYW and on 11. PYW taken out from the low ground. GPK gets the kill.
Holy damage.
Moving up to the high ground is a little risky now. They get the grab. RP for on 11 drags back GPK. GPK will go for the BKB, try and get away from this. He's got decent movement speed, but Ori jumps in. Or Astral Step blocks him off. 4 dead on VP, as they knew where Vici Gaming were. They hit the scan, they were charging up the river, but they ended up in this position where Vici Gaming, they sort of surrounded them from the high ground points, and it was a very hard fight for VP to take when they're in that sort of very confined area between the Roche pit and the triangle.
And the team can't get to where DM actually blinks onto high ground, Echo slams the Magnus, but his team had just got hit by like an 1100 crit from the Tiny, also Avalanche combo, and they were stuck in the river. They couldn't get to where the Earthshaker was. Very split up fight for VP. Huge advantage for Vici off of that one. Also, I've been watching this. They're keeping the Alpha Wolf with the Tiny the entire time this game.
I like it.
They've had the dominated Alpha Wolf just sticking with them. So look at his damage. I mean, plus 362. Those are without. That's like 760 damage without a crit from the Silver Edge.
Absolutely. DD has here on Nightfall the rescue. They have got vision on this Tiny. Nightfall. See if he can chase down Poyoyo.
He's holding BKB.
He is. He's still got ways to get out of there. Cookie as well. Jumps him back to safety. They keep it cool, Vici Gaming. Or he's actually looking for the wraparound on the backlines. Jumps in straight away on a save. The kiss is coming out from the high ground. That's one down.
Goodness.
The break hit. He immediately has to put the BKB and run. Nightfall's got to get out of there. DM's going to go down. Nightfall will manage to TP out. But another fight where VP are just a little unprepared there. Ori this time coming in from the river. They weren't ready for him to catch them on the retreat and just kick off that fight as aggressively as Vici Gaming were able to do so.
And the damage from Poyoyo, he 2/3 of the HP from the Bristleback, just from one swing, but the Echo Saber crit, of course, from the Silver Edge.
That's so much.
That is problematic, as we said, for VP.
7k lead now, back for Vici Gaming. That sort of old Roshan escapade that VP were able to hit back with. Nothing more than a distant memory here in this game as Vici Gaming back with full control.
And look, the Alpha Wolf again, it's just sticking with Poyoyo. Empower plus Alpha Wolf looks pretty balanced on Tiny. Look at this. He almost two-shotted a Bristleback.
Yeah.
That was without the Alpha Wolf, where 2 is still up top.
I mean, what do you do? What do you do against it?
He's definitely going to need some armor on the Bristle, because right now I still only see him with like 14. So I think he's got to get a little bit more to counteract some of that damage. He is just going straight for S and Y for the time being, but really needs that plate mail soon.
Bottom lane, Vici Gaming ready to start pushing in themselves. They know their strength right now. Quick poke at the tower and then a backup and smoke. See if they can catch VP whilst they're split up across the map again.
They got global again. Every single time that they've had global, or almost every time they've had global, the fight has gone successful in their favor. Poyoyo leading the charge.
Oh, it's gonna hurt.
Oh yeah,
they're in the RP, and there's the damage follow-up. A few swipes, and it's VP4. Global comes down, skew over from on level 1,293 damage crit there. GPK the only one making it out. But my goodness, they get the setup here and allow Tiny to just follow it up. Poyoyo, they're just crumbling in the palm of his hand here, VP.
This is just so much damage that he does end up getting from all this. And that was the Bristle, by the way. 2-shotted, or 3-shotted by the Cleave. And the global again to cover, perfectly coming out from DY, so there's not even any follow-up that VP can go for. 12k lead now for Vici. Having a firm grasp of this game.
How do they stop this Tiny?
Look at this again. Just a perfect one. Beautiful RP, no hesitation from 11. They're just dead. They're dead in the RP.
2 hits, one hit's half the HP, really. It really is. And running, that's not an option either. These trees just come in, tossed at you from a mile off, and the damage is done. That splash will just decimate anyone caught in the area.
And it's surprising that Poyoyo can just walk up like that and just find the opportunity. VP not prepared with an Obs and Sentry Ward or anything like that. have lost full control of the game with their early game draft.
And they had that chance to regain things around that Roshan and Aegis pickup.
They're going to have to try to get it again. That's the one thing. It's like VP, they have to try to get some type of successful fight while Global is down. They have 20 seconds to try to find it, and hope to God for them that they find a Roshan afterwards. They have 1 minute and 50 seconds until it does respawn, and there's already a Dominator creep waiting in the pit for Vici. Vici's already knows, too. They're backing up quickly. DY in a super defensive position. 11
jump straight in Echo. Old 11, he's going to be the one to be caught. Has got buyback available, though, if he feels necessary.
Poyoyo's thinking about GPK in the bottom lane.
Ori as well. Look, again, coming in from this angle, always sort of keeping VP sandwiched between the rest of his team and himself.
GPK.
Be able to back up to the safety of his teammates, or at least the relative safety.
He's got to bail out. Only 700 HP, has to get healed up. Global back online. 50 seconds, though, for Magnus, and as we said, still 70 seconds on that Roshan. Again, Alpha Wolf will go back to check the pit. And a DD rune is inside of Ori's bottle.
VP trying to get control of this area. It's not going to be easy. And as it looks, they're not going to have to use the buyback here on Old 11. He will be back up in time. 40 seconds still, so get an update on that Roshan.
I actually like that Kingslayer went for he picked it up about like 2 minutes ago, but picked up a pretty early gem. I think they're starting to feel the game's getting a little out of control. They have to know exactly where the Tiny is in all situations. They have to know when there's any vision on them, because if VP doesn't start the fight with Bristleback charging in, Razor linking, and it's actually Vici who starts it, I think the fights are just going to easily be Vici's every single time. So they have to have a good vision, good control of vision in this game to be able to get those initial jumps.
The discussions being had between VP on when and what they want to do with the next move. They're running out of plans here. It's not an easy game to swing back.
Everything's up for Vici. Vici wants to take the fight now themselves. There's no Echo Slam on DM for some time. They should know that.
I mean, and if they do look to try and take a team fight, VP, they know that they don't find DY. DY really will turn it all around with the press of a button.
And, I mean, the Tiny's just going to two-shot people, and he's just so farmed at this point. He's almost 2 items ahead of the next person. They have full Satanic against Hyperstone. They're just taking the Roche themselves.
I mean, VP's not going to be able to do anything about that.
It's already
They're
dead.
not going to be able to do anything about that. Roshan will fall in a matter of seconds here to Vici Gaming.
And Old 11, who has not purchased a shard, even though we saw it prioritized so much in the first series of the day, how good this Magnus shard was, he didn't buy it, and now he's got one given to him for free after he picks up his own individual items with the Aether Lens, the Blink, the BKB. So even more of a threat, really, for the Bristleback, just this instant catch into Skewnerming out of position. VP has to be so cautious in these next few moments.
I mean, is there any sort of chance for VP's lineup from a high ground perspective, as it seems like anything out on the map is at this stage is almost becoming impossible?
It's starting to feel not like there's not really too much of an answer. It has to be some unbelievable positioning, really, from the Phoenix and the Pugna, and just like Razor has to have some full link. This Razor and Bristle need to have some insane start to the fight.
Oh,
that's Poyoyo.
He's found them.
He gets the start.
He's able to walk in, start things off on a DM. That's the Shaker gone. GPK past the BKB, starts to get the Sally link going. Save trying to heal him up in from the side. Nightfall looking to charge in. The BKB, the RP, they'll control the Bristleback. Global popped out. You see Ori jumping with the Astral Steps over to GPK. He's able to pop the Razor. GPK goes down, Save trying to turn him, shot back with the Scatter Blast. PYW cookies in on top of him to crush the Pugna's life.
Far too much damage on Vici. The Razor gets what, almost a full link? Tiny doesn't care about link because he just keeps wailing you right through. And Ori, as we mentioned, 8-2 and 10. Even though he had a bit of a rough lane in the game, he's had an excellent one. He was 5-1 and 10, 5-1 and 6 before, now 8-2 and 10. One of the next few times you look at him, and the damage you do is pretty crazy as Void Spirit. Even with Empower, sure, you're mostly magical, but you still hit pretty hard.
Old 11. He's managed to get the jump in. Nightfall trying to get back to safety, but the break can see. Cooking forward on the Poyo. Toss up. Have they got the damage? Yes, they certainly do. as Nightfall out of the game. 90 seconds, no buyback on the Bristle. This bottom rack's not going to stand a chance, of course, against the hard hits of Poyoyo. All tier 2s are taken. Vici Gaming, they can go for much more here. It's a long, long time with no carry up for VP.
This definitely feels like game over, right? It's 70 seconds still. There's a Tiny on the team. I think they can probably take all of it. Might be one more standard defense here that comes out from VP, but they did not ever hit their timing, it feels like, this game.
AC complete on Poyoyo as well. Have to jump forward. Old Lemon not quite able to get a grab here. And VP will be able to push them back a little bit, but the Aegis is still there. Quick use of the Satanic gets a good bit of the HP up for Poyoyo.
That was a weird glyph, though.
And nobody was even hitting the racks at the time. But as it is, glyph now gone.
Fisher.
It's a good fish shot.
It's a really good one.
They get a good link up. They'll be able to take Poyoyo down the once. And they do it a second time out of the side. DM BKB's not going to help him against the physical. As DM will fall. They're doing their best though. They are managing to keep them off this mid racks for now. And all things said and done, this mid set's still standing. Poyoyo is going to look to try and put an end to that though. Steps back into Crepify. Not going to do anything at all there.
Instantly removes the Decrep with the Satanic. Finishes off that Rax. And 26k gold lead. Just continue to look harder and harder for this Bristle and Razor to do much of anything.
Yeah, it is.
Even though they've even started like picking up the plate mails and stuff like that, but the sheer damage that's coming out from Vici is just far too much for VP to hang on to. And yeah, they're saying Silencer is missing, so I'm thinking that they're probably like, damn, this Silencer actually ruined our entire idea of the draft, because ideally the way they wanted to play, the way they have throughout the tournament with this Bristleback is he just becomes unkillable because they have these heals that come out, but you can't. Even if you have the Lotus Orbs, it doesn't matter because the initial is going to get stopped. And they just die so fast. And now, speaking of dying fast, there's a DD rune on our Tiny, so... Yeah. He's going to be hitting for over 1,000, critting for 1,900, just about.
Uh-oh.
Hunting bounties.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt. That's... Yeah, well, good luck to VP in the next team fight.
Maybe they blow up Ori.
Let's see what they can do.
Uh-oh.
There's the global. If he comes out for Ti10, they'll see if they can lock down Ori. You got Poyoyo already coming in for the side. Ori's going to be able to get out there. Jump on Lebanon with a 3-man RP. Poyoyo lays down the damage. Nightfall trying to run. He'll fall. A 1,700 damage hit coming out there to end Nightfall's life. GG called. Vici Gaming, this first game of the series, it's all theirs.
Super clean game again, Vici. I mean, they lost Poyoyo early game a couple times, right? I think maybe even all 3 of his deaths were relatively early in the game. VP had his number, but it didn't really seem to matter because VP couldn't capitalize on anything big. They got the Roche, but they lost their Aegis almost immediately because of the way Vici responded, and Vici was always kind of a